Yeah.
Welcome to the Real Deal Talk Podcast with your host, Jay Mark.
What up? It's your boy J Mark going live. I got my host Jay Shep and Josh.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Got some good reactions. A lot of positive things have been happening in the college football world. So I had to bring some great thoughts and some great minds into this thing. I'm gonna let you boys go introduce yourself. Go ahead and tell them who you are, Jay Shep.
Man, like he said, Jay Shep, man, nothing too crazy. I'm from Louisiana. Go Tigers. I'm LSU. You know, we a little rough right now, but, you know, wrong or right, I'm rocking with my boys. Have some barbershop talk, man. I'm ready.
And then there we go. How about you, Josh? What's up?
Yeah, I'm Josh from California. Got my own channel that I post daily on college NFL content, and I'm excited to get to the rankings. A lot of things that we had a pretty good idea what we were going to see tonight, and it pretty much shapes this weekend up pretty well for how it's going to go with the final rankings on Sunday morning.
1,000%. So first and foremost, I'll start out with the new college football bracket, and it's kind of devastating as my Longhorns was ranked at 13, so they're not gonna. We see their season just came to an end, but as of now, this is kind of what we're seeing. What do y'all think about the bracket and the rankings right now?
Man, I can't really say they got it wrong. I think they kind of did. I think they did a good job without putting 11 and 12 right now. It's a conference champ, so I'm guessing number 12 is going to go to the G5 champ, and number 11 is going to go to the ACC champ, or whoever the highest ranked in the ACC, or I'm assuming.
Yeah, whoever the highest. Well, what they said pretty much is Miami ain't got a shot to get in, because they pretty much what it was saying is if Duke beats Virginia, then you bring in the Sun Belt champ, which is James Madison, and then the American champ. And then
so you get two G5, man.
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh?
No, that's correct. We're going to be looking at two G5 teams, 95 at least, I'd say, % chance if Duke winds up getting a win, which isn't honestly that unlikely. They got a good mobile quarterback in Mensah and Anthony on the edge. You can get after the quarterback pretty well. So that's going to be a tight game. So my initial thoughts on the rankings were I agree with Jalen. I thought that it looked decently well enough. I thought that it was too much of a climb probably for Texas to get up in there. And then we did see, though, not Indiana, but Notre Dame and Alabama, they flipped. So we were talking about that before we came on here, how we thought Alabama should certainly have been at number 9, and they corrected that on their part. If they lose in the SEC title game, they should still be in the CFP. There's no doubt about it. So I thought that was good by the committee to put Notre Dame in a spot where if BYU were to win this weekend, that BYU would be in the CFP and Notre Dame would be knocked below Bama.
Yeah. No. All right, here's my question, though. If Alabama goes on to win versus Georgia, do they get a bye? Or are they the 4th seed? How do you?
Oh, yeah. Whoever win the conference championship, yeah. Whoever, if what I'm sure Georgia is higher ranked than Alabama. If Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship, yeah, you deserve to buy at that point.
I agree. I think that with Alabama, they've got enough ammunition on the schedule and the way that they've played down the stretch with that identity on defense really coming together. And having beaten Georgia twice is what we'd be talking about if they do win that game this Saturday afternoon. That's the number 3 currently ranked team by the committee. So that would be incredibly strong. Those would be the best combination of 2 wins in college football, unless Indiana were to knock off the Buckeyes on Saturday. So we're looking at probably a 3-4 seed from them. Most likely 4 if Texas Tech were to beat BYU. They'd stay at 3. But I fully agree. SEC champ should be in the top 4. There's no doubt that our opinions would all probably be shared in that way.
Yeah, so let's stay in the Big Ten. So we got Ohio State and Indiana. It's a big test for both teams, right?
Oh wait, can I add something, please, before we get into that? So since they going into two G5 schools, okay, now to me, I think they was doing a favor to all the G5 schools for having that 12 spot allotted to them. Now you put two G5 schools in there. Now I can see you putting or at least Vanderbilt in, or Texas, or somebody. Somebody can get that spot. Two G5 schools. I feel like we know who they not going unless they match up with each other first round. It's gonna be a blowout with who they play or whatever. Two G5 schools. I do feel like it's just a little too much, and I think a second G5 school do not deserve it more than a Vanderbilt that's got a good record that's 10-2, a Miami that's 10-2, because two G5 schools is just doing too much. Texas can get in that spot at least. That's where that surprised me. I could not see them putting two G5 schools in the top 10, in the top 12 in the playoffs. But I mean, if that's how they're gonna do it, cool. I mean, G5 cannot say anything. They are blessing them, but that's kind of crazy though, because it's teams like Vandy that's 10-2. That's only a two-loss teams. Miami, they 10-2. These teams have got a much harder schedule than any G5 school. So I think that right there they can get robbed on that spot, just that 11th spot or whatever.
Yeah, all due respect to the Big 12 and the ACC, but this is the exact predicament that they put themselves in beginning of the year when we were talking about in the offseason. The SEC, Greg Sankey and Tony Petit, they wanted this format of 4 automatic bids for the Big 10 and the SEC, and they were going to give 2 to the ACC and Big 12. And now we're in a world where there's a very realistic scenario where there's no ACC team make it, let alone getting 2 teams in, and they put themselves in this spot. They definitely don't get 2 teams in if Texas Tech gets the win on Saturday. So that's the hole that they've dug for themselves. Fully agree with you that it should be earned on the field and it shouldn't be put into that product that we're going to have to watch in the CFP now, that there's going to be 2 G5 teams that wind up playing teams like Oregon, playing a team most likely in Ole Miss or Texas A&M, one of those 3 teams we played against those G5 schools. So I fully agree with that.
And I'm gonna say this too: if I'm Oregon, I'm licking my chops. I get to get essentially a bye week where I get players back like DeCorian Moore. You might have Evan Stewart back. You get Sadiq getting healthy. So essentially, that's a bye week during the Big Ten championship game. But then on top of that, I'm going to get a home game versus a James Madison.
Yeah.
You got to think about it. If I'm the 5th seed or the 6th seed and you get 2 G5s in, I'm licking my chops. Because you get a bye week, like I said, and then you get a home playoff game versus a G5.
No,
how can I find a way to lose one conference game and be the 3rd team and be high enough ranked where I still can find myself with a bye potentially in a home first round home playoff game? I mean, I don't think it's better than that.
That's very tricky, man. These conference games, depending on what you're looking like in a year, if you got one loss, really the conference game is really only a plus if you undefeated. If you got one loss, maybe 2 losses in a hard division, you're trying to duck that conference championship game. You really don't want to see that game for real.
I'm good on it.
And I put it like this: if you're gonna keep the conference games, take week 0 away. Make this week 12. The championship, the conference games, make that this past weekend. Take week 0 away and just start off week 1. Because right now, and you add in, this is a game also to where that's 60 minutes of football that still has to be played. I can lose some of my best players in this football game. Whether it's a good team or not, I can still lose. When you step on the field, anything can happen. This is a game that's really meaningless for real. And it can hurt me, if anything, both ways, injury-wise and a loss. So they just need to either do away with it or put it into the schedule. Because this is just really an expedition game before the playoffs start. You feel me? That's just an extra game added on or whatever. So I don't know. I think they need to fix how they do that and make the schedule make sense or whatever. Because for certain teams, I know Alabama, they don't want to say it. They wishing Ole Miss. I mean, somebody else could have gotten this, or A&M would have stayed undefeated or something like that. Because they're not trying to see that SEC championship game. I don't think so.
Yeah, Georgia would rather not have to play, because as it stands right now, they didn't have to play in the SEC title game. They're getting a first round bye. Now they're going to end up in a good spot no matter what happens on Saturday against the Tide. They'll be either the 5 or the 6 seed, even if they were to lose. And as we just mentioned, they'll be just fine in the first round. They'll find themselves in the quarterfinals. But I think what's really interesting is what's going to happen to a team like Texas A&M, right? So Texas A&M and where they're setting up to be, that's a team that gets in a favorable position. If Georgia wins, Bama's back there. They're going to be in that 5-6 spot, sitting just nice and tidy right there. They'll be fine. So I really like what you guys are saying about that. There's still a lot that needs to be fixed out with the college football playoff, and that's what was proposed early in the year. But it's just the Big 12 and ACC. They didn't want to admit to everybody that they're lesser conferences, and there was proposed play-in games that would happen on this Saturday with 3 playing 6, 4 versus 5, and that would have opened up the door for teams like Texas, teams like Miami would still have a chance to get into the college football playoff. I think we would have all rather liked to seen that than what we're seeing right now.
Well, and here I'm gonna say this too before we move on. Like a team like A&M, obviously you go bill to bill top 5 throughout the entirety of the year. You lose to Texas, it's more of a pride thing, but I don't think they're too mad by that. Because at the same time in that Texas game, their quarterback got banged up. He tweaked his ankle, and he
thought he was done. Thought it was his ACL. I thought he was done.
I thought it was Achilles or something. Yeah, I mean he hurt his ankle, so now this gives him ample time to rest up. And then on top of that, like you said, they're either 6 or 5. So now you're gonna get a home game at A&M. Who is gonna come in as a G5 and even compete at A&M?
I think that's where it's interesting, though, because if Alabama wins, right, that's going to displace Georgia. And then Texas A&M is not in the top 5, 6, right? We're talking about the rankings right now. They're sitting at 7 currently. If Alabama wins, A&M's looking at a much tougher first-round CFP game. No longer it's a G5 team. It is a full-fledged Power 4 school that they're going to have to pay. So that's the impact of the SEC title game on Saturday. A team like A&M, as it is, they might not even get, because they're hoping for a team probably in Texas Tech to lose, so that might move them below a spot down to 7, and then A&M's able to move back up into the top 6. So most likely they're rooting for that to happen. So there's a lot for A&M now that they really wrecked with their season, losing at the end of the year. But to what you guys are saying, it's all about just punching your ticket and playing in the postseason.
Yeah, and I would like to say I think the only 2 conferences that really can lose a conference game and still get in is SEC Big Ten. We can all agree there. There's no other conferences that's gonna have that. Like they even set it up. BYU, yeah, they only have 1 loss, but it's 2 Texas Tech. Them placing them at 11 in the ranking shows you that if they lose versus Tech, their season ends.
Yeah,
and it's rightfully so.
And really, if I'm the ACC, I'm saying no, we can compete with the best. But if they played out, you got to think, man. You got Florida State in the ACC, you got Clemson, you got Miami. Them 3 powerhouses in the ACC that's supposed to be playoff teams. If not, they had Clemson, one of the favorite teams, to win it all. So if they pan out to be the team that we thought they would be, this would be much different. Just imagine if you see a Clemson and a Miami. That was supposed to be the header of the championship, ACC, either Clemson, Miami, or Florida State or Miami or whatever. Or Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech blew a couple games. They could easily be in this. This could be a lot different to where Notre Dame might not be in it with 2 losses. If Notre Dame with 2 losses and Clemson and Miami and Florida State are all doing what they need to be doing, 2 teams will probably get in. With a 10-1 Clemson team and a 10-1 Miami team, one of them, they have to knock each other off. But I think they'll get 2 teams in. But it's crazy how neither of them teams, this is like flip-flop. The bottom of the ACC is at the top now, and all the top teams in the ACC is just, I don't know what happened to them. But
I'm glad that you touched on Notre Dame, because that's where we're about to go next. So obviously before the ranking went out, I was excited. Wanted to see what was the path for Texas, Miami, Notre Dame. The way the rankings shaped up, Notre Dame is the only one who has a path. Texas Miami season essentially probably ends, and even Vandy. So with Notre Dame, I want to say they're ranked at 10. How safe do you think Notre Dame is in the playoffs? Are they a shoe-in?
Nah, I got you. Notre Dame, they safe. Notre Dame is a brand. It's the Irish, and they independent. So they gonna throw them in. That's why I said everybody keeps saying is Notre Dame getting in. Notre Dame gonna get in. It was when they had the 2 losses early on in the season. They was always saying, "Keep winning and you win. Just win out. That's all they got to do." And that's why they've been winning and trying to dominate a lot of these teams because they got a good brand. And whether you want Notre Dame or in, you can't deny that they are looking better and better each week. They are looking together. I think their problem is they scheduling. They got too top heavy with a freshman quarterback and threw them into the fire right away. If they would have placed them games later on in the year when the quarterback confident and feeling himself, they probably beat Miami and they might beat A&M. And speaking of A&M, I think it's set up right now to where they'll see A&M for Notre Dame and they'll see each other first round. And A&M don't want to see them first round right now. I wouldn't want to see a Notre Dame team right now that I think that came down to the last drive. They barely beat them.
It came down to a 4th and 19.
And that was what the first game of the year. That was game 1 or game 2 with a freshman quarterback.
That was a shootout.
They licking their chops right now to go see them again. Notre Dame is feeling pretty confident. They gave themselves 2 tough games at the beginning, and they independent, and they still went out there and put together somewhat. This is probably the roughest schedule they done had in a long time, but they had a little competitive schedule, and they lost 2 games early, not in bad fashion, and then they end up winning out. And I think the committee looking at how they look as a team, the quarterback, and everybody looking at, and they got athletes out there, and they probably got the Heisman winner on their team at running back. So they pretty solid, and they got some athletes on the outside. They solid. I like Notre Dame to get in and make some noise. So I think they safe just by brand alone. They want Notre Dame, man.
So I do think that, to your point, Notre Dame is going to be safe here, right? But I think that there's a potential for a third sort of massive domino to fall that we've seen throughout the season, and that's been involved a little bit. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I got you. So the first one earlier, right, that we just had Lane Kiffin, right? He leaves. And so I'd say that's a massive issue that we have with the calendar. So that's my first sort of craziness domino of the year that just was absurd. First unprecedented. We've got a head coach leaving a program, the CFB, a team like Texas, who is essentially going to set the mold now for why we're probably going to start taking away these out-of-conference games. That's a massive sort of catastrophic domino to the college football world, as we know. And then a third, I would say, is Notre Dame. If they're left out of the playoff, let's say BYU gets in, it is a direct reason why they should no longer then be independent and they should be joining a conference. So I think that's sort of what's at stake right now. We've seen the scheduling be a major issue for teams that have these tougher games like Texas getting penalized, the actual schedule and how it impacts the players and the coaches. This is awful for college football, seeing Lane Kiffin leave. And then Notre Dame, if they were to, for the reason of BYU getting in, if BYU wins, Notre Dame is probably out. That you got to take someone out. And right now they're at that 10 spot. Someone has to come out because it's 5 automatic qualifiers for the conference champs. So I think that a third potentially sort of catastrophic part of college football foundation as we know it might come toppling if BYU does get in and Notre Dame gets knocked out.
Because at that point, BYU
that would mess it up. I didn't even think about that. BYU win, dang, they are gonna put Notre Dame out.
But again, we're pretty confident that Texas Tech beats BYU, so that's why I would say that So we're.
I mean, I will say
you think Texas Tech gonna beat BYU? You think that's easy?
Yeah, it's hard to beat a team twice. I mean, but at this time, the game is at Cowboy Stadium, and Texas Tech is in Texas. So it's home field advantage once again for Texas Tech. I don't know. The way Joey McGuire was sounding, I wasn't really liking it. He's like, I think both teams should get in and this and that. The third, he knows he's a safe in regardless. But I'm like, don't go out there and blow the game or play close and play with your foot with BYU and let them beat you. Because at that point, like you said, that will bump Notre Dame out. And then now you welcome in BYU, Texas Tech, and then you get 2 teams from that conference. So I don't know how they will play that one.
That's tough. I didn't think about that. And you touched on Ole Miss. Ole Miss went up. Everybody thought they would get hurt. They actually bumped Ole Miss up a spot, even without their coach. But came out today saying Charlie Wise was going to be able to go back and have control over the offense. So that's a play caller. They'll be good. They'll be all right. Lane Kiffin. He's a play caller, but he do allow Charlie Wise to call plays. So I think that'd be all right. That'd be straight.
Yeah, I think that was very beneficial. And Lane was like, I don't want them to be penalized. Let me coach. So at least let my offensive coordinator call the game. And he said he notified them yesterday and let them know that
Which
he's
makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, your head coach can't coach you, but yeah, we can. The OC that's leaving to the same school, the same rivalry that y'all mad about, and he can coach. But
Yeah,
it
and
is.
here's another thing too, though. Tulane has a chance to get in. James Madison has a chance to get in, and both of them got hired by SEC programs. And now, if they both get in, they have already been told that they can coach their schools. And even North Texas, same thing. So maybe those are smaller schools, and it's the best season ever. But at the same time, Ole Miss, this is your best season in 60 years. I mean,
Ole Miss really is Tulane and James Madison in the SEC. You're a program, but you ain't no blue blood. You really a stepping stool for the bigger jobs. Ole Miss is a stepping stool for bigger jobs, just like Tulane and James Madison is. If you go to certain schools in the SEC that ain't the best, like a Mississippi State or like an Ole Miss that ain't been the best over a 10-year long time, that's a stepping stool. Lane reinvented himself at Ole Miss, and now he on a big stage now, where all his buddies that he grew up with came in the coaching ranks up with. He's on a big stage with them now. So I can't knock him for wanting to go big time or whatever. But I don't know. If I'm an Ole Miss, this our first chance. This our only time being here sniffing the playoffs. Yeah, Lane, you gonna leave regardless. When you gonna leave, whether we anyway. So you might as well go ahead and see what we can do, and go on about yourself. Let's see how far we can get, and then you can do it. Because you leaving either way. So and you ain't do nothing anyway, but hire your defensive coordinator. So you can't say it's about coaching or we ain't have no time to look at coaches. You ain't do nothing but get rid of him and then hire your upgrade your DC anyway. So you can't say, well, we had to get rid of him so we can have time to look at coaches. Everybody else was gone. Just go ahead and ride it out with Lane. I know you mad, but you can't get emotional with it. This you sabotaging the players at that point. Let the coach his players. See how far y'all can get. If y'all win, great. If y'all take to the semis, cool. And then on his way he go. It's cool, but it is what it is.
yeah, and I would like to say too, one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is National Signing Day is tomorrow. like,
Exactly.
like, like National Signing Day for the early period is tomorrow. So I mean, at the end of the day, your hands are tied. A lot of people have gotten mad at Lane for leaving and saying it's cowardly or whatever. That's first of all, I just think that's off opinions. You just don't like him as a person. But at the same time, if you're a coach transitioning to a new place, you have to set up that recruiting class. That is very, 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 very vital. So I mean, I understand why the timeline is that. What they need to do for the NCAA is they got to figure out, hey, do we move the National Signing Day back maybe a week or two? But then on top of that, you have to figure out, because a lot of these players are hitting the portal now because they're trying to find a home for that spring semester. So, I mean, you put a lot of players in limbo. I mean, so I think the timing in the portal is just messed up, So I think they have to figure out how can we allow and allow this timeline to work for players to be able to get in and get enrolled for their new home in the spring. Even last year, you saw the quarterback, how you say his last name?
Pavila. Yeah.
Yeah, him last year. His team went on a playoff run at Penn State. He didn't want to leave. He wanted to be at Penn State. But he realized, hey, I have to think about myself, and I have to, set myself up for success. So he had to leave right before the playoff run started. It happens, So that's one of those things where you can't really fault a player because, as you see, if a coach sees a better opportunity, they're going to leave. So why are you getting mad, at players if they're doing it? So it's just the NCAA is just messy right now, and they have to resolve that issue, or you just gonna keep running into the same domino each year.
I think the national championship game should be played January 1st, how it used to be. Like by January 1st, the season should be over after all. They need to push all this stuff either up, but they dragging it out too long. That's why stuff is running into early signing day and the transfer portal and all this stuff. Move up to January 1st, as that's the national championship date. Going into the New Year's. Then you can have the transfer portal and stuff after that or whatever. They dragging this stuff way out. And NCAA should put a rule in to where you can't be shopping on the job, or another program can't come and get your coach or something like that, because that's what mess up a lot of this stuff. But that's not a rule, so they doing what they gonna do to try to get their best coach, get the best coach in the world. They gonna do that. I'm a program. I need to get a hire. We just got rid of a coach. We got to go make a big hire, and I can come and buy your coach out from another school. That should be a rule. That's kind of crazy, but
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
good.
They got a lot of mess on their hands.
I think that's moving us along to our next subject. I don't know if you want to wait on that one, Josh, but I was going to say before, open the floor to you, I was going to say, what do you do? If you move it up, you have to do away with the conference championship game, and you have to do away with one regular season game. My little brother coaches at Stephen F. Austin. FCS, they have a 24-team playoff, I want to say. They only have 11 conference games, or 11 games throughout the whole season. They have, I want to say, 2 non-conference, and then the rest of the 9 are all conference games. And you win your conference off of, best record or whatever. I mean, but what it boils down to, who are you going to give the conference championship to if Ohio State and Indiana have both 8-0 or 9-0 and don't play each other in the conference? Because a lot of these conferences aren't even with the teams.
That's what I said. These teams got to play each other. The SEC beat up on each other. Why the Big 12? Why the Big 10 ain't beating them on each other? There's no way in hell you should have Oregon, USC, Ohio State, Indiana, and Penn State, and only Indiana and Penn State seeing each other. Indiana and Oregon, but Ohio State ain't played Indiana yet. There's no reason why Ohio State is playing Indiana for the first time.
Well, I will say there's 16 teams in the SEC, so everybody can't play each other either, though.
Everybody not playing each other, but the matchups that you want to see is being had. The powerhouses is playing each other. Every team might not play every scrub in the SEC, but the big teams most of the times are playing each other. If we're gonna beat up on each other, and SEC is going to 9 games next year, so or is it 8 or is 8 or 9? Well, they going up. I know whatever they playing right now, they add another one to it. So they gotta beat up on each other. Everybody get mad at they show SEC bias. It's the hardest division, man. Whether you want to accept it or not, it's the hardest division, and you bound to take a couple losses. The Big 10 should step up step up and start scheduling each other. It's crazy how you'll never see the SEC with multiple one-loss teams or multiple undefeated teams, like how Ohio State and Indiana just be running through just undefeated. That's crazy. That's crazy. And Oregon with 1 loss or something like that. Like, they need to be able to mix it up and see each other or whatever. So they won't ever run into a spot to where, dang, what we gonna do? Ohio State undefeated and Indiana. Nah, they done seen each other in the regular season now. So one of them done lost. So I feel like they should just make the scheduling like that. And either do that or go back into the divisions how it used to be, like how the SEC had SEC West and East and all that stuff. Like, put it like that if you're gonna do it, if anything. But they gotta fix something though. I think they should change up for real. And then now teams gonna want to get out of them non-conference, them hard out of conference games. So they gonna have a lot of work on their hands.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. Again, we anticipated Penn State to be a great team this year, and them falling off was a shock to everybody. Even with the loss to Oregon, we were looking at them probably going 10-2 and being a team right now that we'd be talking about as a bubble team and having a whole another team right there in that 9, 12, 13 range to throw in. But they imploded right there. And we see James Franklin go to Virginia Tech. But that's sort of, I think, the beauty also in a lot of this of college football right now is the parity, that a team that is a unrespected program in Indiana that's able to take themselves fully from the dumps to the top of the sport potentially with a win this Saturday in Indianapolis. That wasn't possible 5 years ago, not even with resources. A lot of these Big Ten schools have more money than a lot of SEC programs, and they're able now to use those resources, the opportunities with NIL, be able to play guys and be able to bring and retain. It's not just bringing in guys, it's retaining players. I didn't see Indiana having another really good season. I thought that they could be a 9-3 team, but for them to be 12-0 and have won at Iowa in a game like that, or at Penn State, at Oregon. I mean, before this season, if you would have told me they won 2 of those games, I would have been shocked. So the schedule next year for a team like Ohio State, it does definitely toughen up. So that won't be a conversation topic with them. But again, teams like Washington falling off, Illinois, it speaks to how the SEC is a far deeper conference. There's no one that's debating the depth of that conference. And I think adding another conference game makes it tricky, but there's still imbalance even within the schedules right now. You got a team like A&M and their toughest game all year, right? They play at Notre Dame. That's a tough outer conference game. Kudos to them scheduling that and putting that on there. They had that game last year, and they wound up dropping that one. And then they also have Texas on the road. That's the last game of the season. That's really difficult. But overall, for an SEC schedule, I think everybody would take that schedule. So there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up. And again, I think this all falls into the play-in format, which will add in an opportunity to have a big game at the end of the regular season. And that sort of kicks off. You were saying Indiana, Ohio State, who takes it? Honestly, who cares? Maybe they share the Big Ten title, and then we're going to end up seeing some playing games on that Saturday instead.
Yeah, I think playing games would definitely end a lot of the he say, she say, or, what the unknown. I think the plan would definitely be like, put the ball down, let Miami and Texas fight for a spot, or like all these French bubble teams instead of this, who's our common opponents, because at the end of the day, football is all about matchups too, because records only can do so much. I mean, in the SEC, anybody can be anybody. I mean, you see Florida, they beat freaking Texas. I mean, and then you see South Carolina, they should have beat Bama. They should have beat A&M. They had A&M on the ropes, So, I mean, it's one of those things where you still got to line up and play the game. Records really are merely, slim to none.
And that's where a lot of people that's not SEC fans or not SEC team fans get it mixed up. I don't think they realize that a 2-8 team can beat a Texas. I don't think they realize that just because they 2-8, they roster from top to bottom, they got a lot of NFL talent on them rosters. They are still getting paid NIL money on that side of the ball too. They are good. Now they might come up short. It might be a play call here and there. But they beating up on each other. These teams are still loaded. Talent for talent wise, they can go neck to neck with any of these teams, no matter if they undefeated, 2-8. It's only about like probably like 3 or 4 schools that for sure you're just gonna run over. But like everybody say, and I'm one of them, like Florida beat Texas. I'm realistic to know Florida can beat Texas. That's not surprising to me. Yes, you can do that. That's really not surprising to me. They got the talent to do that. Now, to Texas, you got a roster that's better than Florida's. You got to handle business, especially when you already dropped the L already. That's a game you need to make up for. You got to win that game because you're not giving yourself no wiggle room no more. You got to make up for that game. But I am going to say, Florida can beat a lot. Florida beat a lot of teams that's in the top 12 right now. Like they still got players. Their record might not show, and I think people don't understand that. Just because you look at one of them schools' records, it's still hard to beat them. As you can see, Auburn been playing horrible, and they can almost beat a Bama team that just went out there and jumped on Georgia like that. And then Georgia looked like they beat up everybody. Like the SEC is weird, bro. The SEC is very weird. And it's a lot of talent through and through, no matter what them records look like. That's what I think people need to really understand, though.
Yeah. Well, when you see a guy like Eric Singleton join a team like Auburn, right? So he's the #1 transfer portal wide receiver and join them, and you throw him out there with true sophomore Cam Coleman, you get an understanding real quickly of what the SEC is about. Man, we're not even going to be talking about Auburn. I don't think that in any given year they're a top 8 SEC team, but they're still able to pull out arguably a top 2-3 wide receiver from an entire conference in the ACC, and they bring him over to Auburn. And now Cam Coleman, he gets his opportunity to make $1.5 million, maybe $2 million somewhere else. Maybe he stays in the South. Maybe he goes up north. Maybe he gets pulled over to the West Coast. Who knows, whoever throws the bag or what he's looking for. No doubt that kid's a first-round talent in the 2027 draft. But I fully agree with what you guys are saying there. People get their opportunity. But to branch away from that, that's where it's fascinating to me, where we've got a team like Texas Tech that's able to bring away, talking about the ACC, a guy like David Bailey. David Bailey has been one of the best defensive players in the country this year, probably a first-round pick in this upcoming draft. With their resources now in the NIL, I keep kind of drawing it back to there's things that are wrong with our sport. There's also a ton of things that are incredible. The more alike you are with the NFL, the better it is. That's the one of the purest products that you have in the world is the NFL. With all that parity, anybody beats anybody any given Sunday. And on Saturdays now, it's becoming a lot more like that because these kids are making money off of their efforts on the field. All the hard work they're putting in, they're getting paid. So now who knows what we get to see from a team like Texas Tech, and they'll get their shot to compete with either a good Big Ten or SEC team.
And that's something I would like to say too. Like, first of all, the Big 12 has never been on defense, right? It's always been points, shootout. Like being in the state of Texas, growing up there, you were always, if you were an offensive player, if you was a receiver, you were supposed to go to a Big 12, Oklahoma State team, a Texas Tech, a Oklahoma, a Tech, like an air raid school. So now I think NIL has balanced college football. You know, Joey McGuire, he coached against me my senior year of high school. So, you know, to see him climb the ranks and be a coach, you know, 8 years later is incredible, especially at the Texas Tech. And that's one thing I like to say. Texas Tech, they have a lot of oil money. And then, you know, they I think they have a $30 million roster this year. So, you know, kind of what they're doing, I'm not surprised because, you know, all the money that they spend, all the players that they brought in the transfer portal. They have a stout D-line. They have Rodriguez at linebacker who's a dog. And then, you know, there's always been known for being an explosive offense. So, you know, I think Texas Tech those where you kind of look at them, like, Texas Tech is Big 12. But no, I think NIL has balanced, stabilized college football where you can't really look over a lot of these schools as you once did. You know, I think it is balanced. I mean, look at what Diego Pavia has been able to do. You know, they get a little bit more dollars, and, you know, Vandy's 10 too. Now they just flipped a quarterback from the University of Georgia to Vandy now, 5-star. So it's just like, you know, the NIL, the money talks, it is definitely changing the format of college football for the good, but obviously they're still bad in it. But I just think, you know, Texas Tech, they could be poised to make, you know, a pretty deep run because this isn't Texas Tech of the past where you just went off of pure talent. No, now you can pay for players that would go to a Clemson or, you know, a Georgia or a Florida or Ohio State, and you can get them down there because if the money is right.
How far y'all think Texas Tech can really go though, realistically?
Semis.
I think the first time they see comp, they out. If they don't see a G5 school, if they don't see a G5 school first round, then whoever they see first round, I think they out. Honestly, realistically, I think these schools are doing good for what they've been known for. Like, yeah, right now what Texas Tech's doing, being top 5 in the nation, is nuts. So they're good based off they good based off what they've been doing in the past. But I don't think
that bracket, Josh.
I don't think they really
Say that again.
Let me say that bracket.
Oh, behind me?
Yeah, that bracket.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's set up like that right now, honestly, I could see Texas Tech going to like a semi. Honestly, I'm not even lying. I think Texas Tech could beat Oregon. I mean, they can definitely beat Oregon. And I think Texas Tech can get to a semi, and that's not even. I'm being realistic.
See, Texas Tech, if they stay right there, the first game they play, they done. If they play Oregon, and I'm not even that high on them, but I ain't gonna disrespect them that much. Oregon is licking their chops if they get to play Texas Tech in their first round.
I don't think that's a licking your chops type of game. I'm telling you, Texas Tech is a lot.
If I'm Dan Lanning in Oregon and I see these teams in this playoffs and I have to go play Texas Tech, yeah, that's a match made in heaven. I don't have to see Bama. I don't have to see Georgia. I don't have to see Ohio State, India. Yeah, I can see Texas Tech. Come on, bring it on. Let's go. We're playing.
For the quarterfinals, that's a matchup that you would fully embrace. No, I think Texas Tech, though, from where we were talking about the beginning of the season, I was pretty high on Arizona State. Unfortunately, they couldn't stay healthy there with Levitt and Tyson. But this team, this team is tough. Texas Tech is built in that offensive line, one of the best teams in the country offensively. They got weapons out there. They got length with Douglas. And then defensively, I think we'd all agree that the Buckus Award is going to Rodriguez that Jamarcus mentioned. And they get after the quarterback, right? And Romello Heights on the other side of Bailey. And so if they had a matchup with Oregon, I think that it honestly comes down to matchup, right? Let's say, depending on where the bracket is, if Oklahoma got through or if Notre Dame will end up being a matchup for Texas Tech, I really feel like if it's a team that doesn't have a quarterback like a Gunnar Stockton or a Ty Simpson going into there, Alabama is interesting because of their lack of being able to run the football. Those pass rushers just get right after Ty Simpson all day and might be in a tight matchup. I like those semifinals. I think that's their ceiling this year. They'll be in a tight game. Would I predict them to beat Bama? No. Or Georgia? No. Or Oregon? I would not. I think that they could keep it one score game in the fourth quarter though.
And that's funny that you touched on that because Arizona State was a team that grew on me after a while. Like I thought it was a one-trick pony. Sam Levitt, he definitely impressed me. And Jordan Tyson, I had TCU beating them, and I remember I was at the Penn State Oregon game. I was watching the game late at night. I went to sleep. I woke up. They beat them 27-24. I was like, all right, whatever. Baylor's going to beat them. Very next week, they're down 13, down the whole game. They come back. They win that game 27-24. I was like, what the hell? And they just kept, and then they even beat Texas Tech. They were down the whole game. Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt, they were a two-headed monster. If that team didn't get hurt and beat up like that, they would be right in the fold of making a college football playoff run. But, that's there. We talk about this. I just think, like you said, I think Texas Tech, when you hear Texas Tech, you wouldn't take them serious. You don't think about it. But like watching this team, they're built like a physical, like SEC team. Like Joey McGuire went and got some big ass
NFL players. Yeah,
he got some studs, and I've actually watched them. I'm like, damn, like when they played BYU, it was 29-7. That game was not even close. And the crazy thing is, Texas Tech had the ball in the first half. I think they took 30 out of their. I think they said 30 out of their 38 snaps inside BYU's red zone, but they couldn't cash in touchdowns. That game should have really been 49-46-7. The game shouldn't even been. That was a lot closer. They just couldn't cash in, and it was because that was their quarterback first game back. Or actually, they played that game with their backup, didn't they?
Yep. Yeah. Texas. Well, they had Morton in that game. They didn't have Morton. He was hurt for the game against Arizona State. So they're one loss to a good football team, and they don't have their starting quarterback. Unfortunately for ASU, they couldn't stay healthy, and they actually ran the ball well. Like they had Brown back there. He's a burner. But that game on Saturday, it feels like I think we'd all agree that even though it's tough to beat a team twice, that if there is a team that's going to win both those matchups, we got Virginia Duke. That's a rematch. Probably feel good about Virginia winning that one. And Georgia Alabama feels like the game where we'll see a different result than the regular season. I think
we'll move on to conference championship game predictions real quick. But then this is the last thing I will say to Texas Tech. The fact that they were able to go 11-1 and they played 6 of those games with a backup. I mean, and they won all those games convincingly. So, that's a testament to a good team when you have depth. And they were able to prove that they had depth. So, that was my takeaway with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree. I think, that shows you good. I think now they're in a friendly conference where they can get away with stuff like that. Also, that certain conferences, you playing with your backup, that ain't gonna work. Where you win 6 games, you might beat a scrub until a team here out of conference, little weak game. But six games, and most of them is conference games, and you get away with them. Yeah, they in the Big 12. That's gonna help them out. So I think them being in the Big 12 is what led to that. But I think if you're in a different conference, they probably not even a playoff team because they're gonna lose some of them games with your backup. But they balling. I mean, we're gonna see. We'll see. I think they're pretty good. I just don't think. I think they overmatched. They outmatched, especially if they run up against a team like Oklahoma that don't even got that much offensive power, but their defense is so suffocating. They're not seeing that type of competition week in and week out, like every Saturday. They're not. This is not West Virginia. This is not Arizona State. This ain't Colorado. These on all sides, top to bottom, all 22 players they're gonna see on both sides of the ball is gonna be very, very different than. You're just happy, friendly. Let's air raid the ball out. We're going to slow the ball down. You're going to have to run the ball. You're going to have to chew the clock. You're not going to throw on none of these teams. You're not throwing on Oklahoma defense like that. You're not throwing on Georgia defense like that. Alabama. You're not going to just be airing that ball out like that. And you damn sure ain't finna bully no SEC team on the ball. Not on the Big 12. You can get some big guys in. You're not bigger than them. You're not finna just be bullying them. So I think they just, when it comes down to it, for real, their best matchup would be an Oregon, which I think Oregon will win. But at SEC will get ugly for them. They just it's gonna have to get real physical, and that's what SEC make their money on in the trenches. And them boys ain't got the trenches like the SEC do.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to find out and see. So moving on, we got 2 matchups on Friday. We got 3 teams fighting for the group 5 spots. First we got James Madison taking on Troy, and James Madison, 21.5-point favorite. What is y'all's thoughts on that game? And, does James Madison have enough to try to win convincingly?
Yeah, defense. They got a great defense. They played well on that side of the ball all year. And, I mean, that's it. They might give up 10 points. They only probably need to score 2 touchdowns to win. Realistically, that makes it pretty simple on your quarterback. And you don't have to score every time you touch the football, right? It's keeping it really simple and not turning the football over when you got a defense like they've played with this entire year. I think they win that, and they're going to all more than likely stamp their ticket to the CFP. I'm pretty confident about that one in particular because defense, I mean, even if they found themselves playing in on December 20th, whatever, they might be able to play, I think, with somebody for even 2 quarters with the defense that they do have.
All right. What is your thoughts on this game, Shep?
Yeah, James Madison by manslaughter. Shout out my boy Trey Taylor, slot wide receiver, short, about 5'8". He gets business though. He gonna give him hell. He ain't gonna be enough, but he's at Troy. He gonna put on a show. He's solid. But James Madison is good. The question is, do Chesney got his mind on right? Is he thinking about UCLA? Or is he really thinking about winning this game and getting in the playoffs? Is he recruiting for UCLA, or is he all locked in with JMU? I think either way, he got more talent than Troy to go win. But I got James Madison winning out by easy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very interesting point. When you got a coach that's on the fringe of, I got signing day, I got recruits. My mind is kind of everywhere, and then I'm still focusing on my old players and my team. But yeah, I think I got James Madison winning that game comfortably. I think they'll probably win that game by like 35 points. So moving along now, we got North Texas and Tulane, both teams that are still fighting for that other Group 5 spot or that one Group 5 spot, depending on what Duke does. North Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. Only loss of the year is USF, which that was a very hot, competitive game. It was a shootout. North Texas started out strong, but, ultimately they just didn't have enough versus USF. But, like I said, North Texas is a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Tulane. What is y'all's thoughts, Josh? What do you think on this one?
Man, that's a toss-up. I like to compare some of these tougher matchups, like when some of these teams dip into to play some Power 4 schools like Ole Miss playing Tulane. But I've had a tough time looking at that matchup. I feel like that one, I have a feeling that Tulane is able to pull that one out. I do like North Texas, but man, that's really tough to pick because both of these teams stack up really well against each other, right? We were all talking about before the season in Retzlaff. So, man, I'm excited for that one. Friday's got a decent slate now. It's going to be competitive, and I know everyone's going to be talking about the games on Saturday. Who do you think, Jalen?
Gotta rock with the home team, baby. They bringing them boys to Yeoman Stadium and the 504. I think that's right there gonna make the difference. Whoever gonna get the ball, who gonna stop who first, win the game. Whoever get the first stop gonna win it. Whoever get the first stop and capitalize, which both are high power offenses, they gonna capitalize. I think Tulane get it just because I think Tulane defense is more. I mean, it's better than North Texas. North Texas gonna throw a lot. They defense is their offense. They want to put pressure on your team by continue to score. Can you keep scoring with me? And I think they made their match with Tulane. I think they can keep scoring with them. And I think Tulane got a balanced football team all the way around where they can actually play some defense and get a stop here and there too. The only thing too goes back to James Madison, John Sumrall. Is he too busy in Florida still? Is he in Gainesville while he on the sideline the whole time in his head? Is he worried about who he trying to recruit? We don't know. That can be North Texas way of going ahead and doing it. But North Texas coach going to Oklahoma State too. So this probably even really they both going. So I don't know. I mean, we shall see. I think they both want to do good for both of those programs, some G5 schools. But I think home field advantage is a big deal with this game. And I also think just overall, Tulane got the better defense. I think that's what it comes down to in these games. Who got the better defense? They both got good offense, but who gonna stop who first? I think whoever gonna stop, it'd be.
And that's another thing I would say too. That's kind of crazy out of these Group 5 schools, right? When you get a conference championship game at home, you don't catch a break there, So honestly, North Texas, they can't stop a cold, but they can score on dang just about anybody. But I'll probably have to give the nod to Tulane playing at home, unfortunately. I don't think North Texas will muster up enough stops. But if you like points, I would definitely say take the over on that
Hey,
one.
this is the bet, boy. This is as free as it
Yeah,
get.
you like points unless it's like a rain game. So we're
It's
moving
60
on.
plus.
Yeah. So we're moving on to Championship Saturday. The most anticipated day of the year for everybody, and this has a lot of playoff implications. Texas Tech and BYU, they start us off, with a good slate. Right now, Texas Tech is a 12.5-point favorite at Cowboy Stadium, so it's pretty much like a home game, for the Red Raiders. And but BYU travels pretty well. What do you think about this one, Shep?
I mean, hell, y'all done convinced me on Texas Tech is this team now. So I guess Texas Tech gonna end up doing them bad. I mean, I thought coming into it, BYU, I think BYU can beat them, and I think if anything, BYU gonna keep it close. But I mean, y'all done sold me on Texas Tech. So if y'all think they got the players and the size to compete with some SEC schools, they should easily do away with BYU. So, and you said they was up on BYU 29-7 at one point, and they didn't even cash most of the time they was in the red zone. So, I mean, they got the Anderson, Texas. I didn't know it was in their backyard. So yeah, it could get ugly for them. So
Yeah, I always say
makes
it's
sense.
hard to beat a team twice. So this game would be very interesting. Josh, what is your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, initially, to me, this one felt like BYU could keep the score a little bit closer. They got after Morton pretty well in that first game. I think they had 4 sacks, 6-7 TFLs, but I don't see them coming away at the win. I'm feeling 27-18, something like that, an extent of about 9-10 points. And that's just based on BYU not being able to stack up. Roster to roster, you go through it top to bottom. Right now, they've got more weapons on the outside, a bit more veteran at quarterback is important. Still, true freshman playing in a really big environment. And in that first matchup, his legs are such a pivotal part of his game, or running the football 10, 12 times. And the athletes that Texas Tech has, it's not really going to be a major factor once again. And Tech didn't get after him all that well in that first game. I feel like they can get a couple more sacks and get in the backfield a little bit more. They were probably a little bit disappointed that they didn't have something like 5 sacks, which is what they've been putting up throughout the season. So I like Tech 28-19, something like that.
All right, that's a pretty good score. Bear, the quarterback, it's a big boy. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4",
Yeah.
260 or something like that.
The one thing I could see, LJ Martin, if you got to break a tackle, one-on-one with Rodriguez, he's not missing. That's the difference. If you could get through a tackle like that, you give yourself a chance. It's like one of those games in the NFL when you've got a Miami versus, playing Buffalo, and you've got a team that you just see stacking up a lot better. It's going to take some sort of Herculean effort from a guy. LJ Martin's a great player. Can he put the team on his back, or Bachmeier, somebody play up to the task of that day? We've seen it happen occasionally in the sport, but I don't see it in this one.
I got you. All right, so we're moving on to the Southeast Conference, man. So we got Georgia and Alabama in a rematch. Georgia's a 2.5-point favorite, but Bama is the home team since they're the higher seed in the SEC. What do you guys like from this game? Is playing at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and I think it's going to be an interesting one. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I took Bama in the first game. It felt to me like they were clicking so well. I know the competition wasn't great, but I felt like they matched up well in that first game against Georgia. And then we saw Georgia play Tennessee and giving up all those points. So it definitely did look like that type of match. But then down the stretch, we've seen Nate Frazier really run the football well. And they were able to win a stylistic type of game against Tech that was like, that feels a bit like those scrappy Georgia Bulldogs that can go and only hold the team to something like 10 points. I was really proud of their effort in limiting Haynes King, a guy that just took it to him last year. So they're able to limit his ability. And I think Georgia is able to win this game like 27-26. I know you guys might be thinking might be a little bit separated on the score on both sides of it. You might have a different opinion, but I like Georgia in this one. Stockton versus Simpson. Again, a quarterback pair of guys that are both – that first-year starter for their teams and have played really well. You could talk about that matchup individually for 30 minutes, and I think it comes down to maybe a late kick, a final possession, two really good coaches, but Kirby Smart gets his first win against Kalen DeBoer.
All righty. What about you, Shep? What do you think about this one?
I'm taking the dogs, man. They in their backyard. That's really cheating. You down the street playing in Atlanta, even though Georgia is in Athens. And Georgia Tech is in Atlanta, and they got more Georgia Bulldogs fans in Atlanta. So you got them in their backyard. They know that stadium in and out. They always there almost every year. I don't believe you're gonna beat Kirby twice in 1 year. And you're not playing against Nick Saban, Kirby. And that's what surprised me, that you still losing to DeBoer. And this is not Nick Saban. So I for sure don't see him losing to DeBoer twice. I got Georgia beating them by convincingly, easily. I think this game gonna get ugly. And even if Bama do beat Georgia, I think the game gonna get ugly. Either way, I don't see it being, whoever wins, they're gonna beat the other team pretty bad. I don't see it being a close game at all. I got Georgia, not because I think they just overall the better team. Alabama they do have their number. They know how to play Georgia for some reason. Every time they play Georgia let them jump on them so early in the game, and it put them behind an 8 ball to where they playing catch up. And it's like, if y'all started off the game playing this way, this is not a game. Like, I don't know. If Kirby stopped them from jumping on them so early for some odd reason, that'd be all right. I think Georgia is gonna do that. Alabama just looked wounded. I don't know. Even though they've been winning, it feel like they got a bunch of injuries on their team. It's just like they limping into the playoffs. They limping into this conference championship. It's like, we got beat by Oklahoma, and then it's like, we got past Auburn. Now it's like, damn, we gotta go see Georgia. Like, I don't think they prepared. I don't think they ready. I think they've been on an emotional roller coaster, up and down, up and down. Now you got to see Georgia, they've been priming at the right time, and I think Kirby gonna get them done, get them out of there, and hopefully they don't knock Alabama for it or whatever, depending on how bad they lose or whatever. But I don't know. I got Georgia handling them pretty well. Alabama they Bama, but they look real weak right now, and they ain't been able to run the ball. And Jam Miller is hurt. I don't know if he come back. I don't know if he come back or not. So Ryan Williams ain't been the same all year. It's just a lot going on with that team. I don't think they prepare right now.
Yeah, I would definitely say Jam Miller, in the run game has not been effective, and for them to score, they've been having to score on big splash plays. They don't even have a traditional run game. They're having to bring Bernard into the backfield and do little, jet sweeps or different motions. And
they couldn't run with Jam Miller. So.
Yeah. So honestly, this game can go either way. But, to your point, Shep, if Georgia if they're down at halftime, at least if they're down by a one possession game going to halftime, I got Georgia being a second half team pulling this game away. Like the game last year with Ryan Williams and that crazy catch, and even the game this year, they got jumped on by double digits, and then, they mustered up some points and some great, they put on some great runs in the game, but, they just got down too much too early. So moving along to, a very anticipated matchup, 1 versus 2. And what Patrick McAfee likes to call it the Loud House in Indianapolis, with Indiana versus Ohio State. This is a game that a lot of people have been waiting on all year. And this is a test where really everybody wants to see if Coach Cignetti is really, is he really here, and is he really, that guy, or are they just playing a weak schedule and getting away playing a whole bunch of slappies? So Shep, we'll open it up to you to see what do you think about this game, and then where does this put the teams in ranking? Since it's 1 versus 2. If it's a close game, do they stay at 1 versus 2, or do anybody slide out of 4 depending on the result?
No, for sure. Whoever wins is number 1. They both undefeated. Whoever wins is number 1. No matter how bad you lose, no matter how close you lose, you lost. The better man just won. I mean, you still might see them again in the playoffs and you can get your rematch. But whoever wins this game got to take the number 1 spot. Man, I think if Cignetti gonna show that he's arrived, that he's really real, he's not fugazi, this will be his best year. Ohio State is good. Ohio State is number 1. I give Big Ten a lot of flack. I do let Ohio State slide because every time it's time for them to show up, they do show up and show out, whether that be against an SEC team or not. Now, since 2015, they only played 3 SEC teams, and that's been they played Clemson, I want to say. I know they played Texas a couple times, and it's another school that played Bama
They
in
play
2015.
Missouri. They made
Missouri.
everybody on the bench.
I
Yeah.
don't think they've seen the best SEC school though. I give them credit to when they when it's time for them to step up and play, but I don't think they've seen a legit SEC. I want to see them beat Georgia for them. I want to see them beat a primed out Alabama, which they did in 2015. I want to see that now in these recent years. I want to see them play somebody that's been in the SEC long enough. They caught Texas coming into the SEC. They trying to get their roster together. They had a team to beat Ohio State, but that ain't no known SEC school. I want to see them really dominate a Georgia team. That if Ohio State dominates, that's who the team I want to see. I don't want to see no other game but Ohio State and Georgia. If Ohio State dominate Georgia, you won't hear me say nothing else about the Big Ten ever, about Ohio State ever. Now that's conference I'm still not sold on, but I do like Ohio State. I don't think they've seen a challenge all year. I think India end up getting them. I think Ohio State gonna beat them, but I think Indiana should be able to beat them. I think they can beat them just off the fact that it's a surprise. Like your real test. It's week 12, week 13. This your real first test seeing somebody for real. Everybody say Michigan. Michigan had their number. I didn't see Michigan really beating them for real, for real. If Michigan would have beat Ohio State this year, then I would think something was seriously wrong with them because they just don't even have the athletes out there for real to keep up with Ohio State this year. At least last year they had some type of DBs and a good tight end and stuff like that, a good running back. Now they didn't have nothing to do with Ohio State. But I think Indiana can get them a run for their money. I think Ohio State still pull it off just because I think they got too much on the outside. And I don't think Indiana got the defense to stop them, and I think Ohio State got the defense to stop Indiana. So
Yeah.
I think
And before I open it up to you, Josh, I think Trisha and Caleb Downs, those two are like a match made in heaven. You know, the way Caleb Downs just roams the field. Like even watching the Texas game versus Ohio State, I mean, Arch was so confused out there. He couldn't even. Remember Sam Darnold said he was seeing ghosts when he was at the Jets. That's how Arch looked. I mean, every throw he was grimacing. The coverages have they been throwing. Like that's why I will say that Ohio State has the upper hand because they have an NFL guy who's just bringing this crazy defense to college. So, Josh, what is your thoughts on this matchup and y'all's run that y'all are going to go on?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think that Indiana's best matchup in the game against the Buckeyes is similar to USC in the sense that they got to attack the Ohio State secondary. Like if you play a USC team, you got to go at their secondary. You can run the football on a team like them. When Indiana played Oregon earlier in the year, they took advantage of their defensive backs. When you saw Oregon play USC a couple of weeks ago, you saw USC be able to take advantage in the secondary. I think this matchup comes down to the outside. Perimeter play is critical here. I like it. IGB, Davison Igbinosun. He's probably a day 2 guy coming up in the next draft. Jermaine Matthews, one of those guys that talks his stuff consistently. I don't know how they fare one-on-one with Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt, both NFL guys. This is a 30 NFL guy type matchup. You've got probably 30 out of 44 players in this game are NFL guys that'll be playing on Sundays. And if I'm Indiana and I got a guy that you think's the Heisman Trophy winner, that's the advantages that you're going to have. Do they take it to Ohio State and get it done up the middle? I really don't see it. There's too much talent in the middle. You hear Joel Klatt call an Ohio State game. He talks about the 4 first-round picks up the middle. If you're not familiar with those players, it's Caden McDonald and Edric Houston, number 96. He doesn't get all that much attention. Behind that, Styles and Reese, probably both first-rounders at the backer position. And it's not going to happen in the run game. Those runs where Mendoza and the offense spreads them out and they're able to pick up yards, that doesn't happen against athletes. I think to your point, you talking about other teams just having athletes and not. This is the first team all year that Indiana's played where it's similar to Penn State, right? Penn State didn't have their starting quarterback and they'd been a little bit sick and we finally saw Singleton get going. I think it just comes down to the outside. I mentioned you guys in the chat earlier, Smith and Tate going up against Pons. Pons is a dog, but he doesn't have 6 foot and above size to be able to compete with them. I think it comes down to Mendoza's right arm if he's able to come up big and keep the game close. In no world are we looking at a game where Indiana wins it by 2 scores. It's just a matter of them keeping it close in the second half. Ohio State hasn't been tied with a team, let alone trailed any game in the second half. You guys will talk about who they've played. I think that's a difficult task for any team playing any sort of schedule to not even come out playing poor football in one single half, to be up in every single half for 12 games in a row. You mentioned LSU, what they did in 2019. I think if they get a win here against Indiana, they're 13-0. They start to have conversations around the country about what this team starts to compare up against. Because defensively, first team since 1975 that hasn't given up over 17 points. I think the Buckeyes win this game like 27-17, 30-20. I got to see it from Indiana in order for them to go out there and beat my Buckeyes. And it's going to take a full 4-quarter effort. And even if they were to be able to pull it off, more likely than not, they're going to have to do it a second time in the playoff.
Yeah, I think this game, now that I think about it, this game gets ugly, actually. Indiana don't have no chance to play with Ohio State. Now I think about it and I realize how they barely skid out of it, Penn State. And ain't that the game where they had to do a game-winning drive or whatever? He had to make every perfect throw, and the dude caught the crazy. Yeah,
They
but
were
no
down
Went
quarterback.
4 for like 5 plays in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, no
down 4
quarterback
points
and no
with-
head coach. And
They were
then you
down 4
struggle
points
through
with a minute 10 left, and Mendoza delivered a strike on 3rd and goal.
and you struggle with Oregon. Yeah, you don't have no shot. I think the best thing that worked for them is that game in
They
Indiana.
dominated Oregon by 10 at Oregon, though. So I mean, you gotta.
Mhm.
I think the best thing that's in their favor is they playing in Indiana. And Ohio State, their key to this game, don't go out there playing that methodical, play slow and they need to go out there and put pressure on their DBs and on their backfield right away. Just let them go out there and let it sling it. Go. Can't nobody guard Jeremiah Smith, throw it to him. Can't nobody guard Cornell Tate, throw it to him. Run the ball, lull him to sleep, throw it to him. Like, don't go out there and keep it close.
The game plan that I think they need to have is the one that they had last year versus Tennessee first round. Now I was like, where has that offense been all season? And
that's what it was. Tennessee, that's the team. That's what it was.
The Tennessee game, they just manhandled the hell out of Tennessee. I mean, on both sides of the ball. So, I think Ohio State needs to go ahead and activate that again, because sometimes they do get in those games where they just kind of play down to their competition and just work the run game, work this. Like, nah, get out there and throw for 600 yards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that's what they need to do, and that's what they need to get the young bull back there behind playing quarterback for them. Julian saying that's what they need him to get ready to do, because you're not just gonna be able to go out there and bully him. If you run up against a Georgia, you need him to be comfortable to step back and be able to throw the ball like that against a defense like that. If you play at Oklahoma, I think they can beat Oklahoma because they got the offense. But Brent Venables is gonna have his defense keyed up. You're gonna have to be comfortable with that young boy back there throwing the ball. So they need to start this early, because they waited. They've been kind of hiding them all year, especially Texas. Both teams was playing real vanilla. They wasn't trying to put their freshman quarterbacks out there and make them have a lot of mistakes. They was just trying to play real methodical and real slow, run the ball, give them good options, open options, easy reads. And throughout the year, middle of the year, both of them start opening it up. Ohio State start throwing the ball more and everything. He need to open it up now, because if he run into a certain team, he need to know that I can drop. I'm confident dropping back and throwing this ball and throwing over defenses like this. So I think yeah, Ohio State don't. Yeah, I mean, Indiana don't. Yeah, this is the game gonna probably get ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, 3rd and 11 in the Natty, they had to throw the ball down the field, pick up a 3rd down and 11 to seal it. If Will Howard wasn't throwing the football down the field the previous couple of games, is he confident enough to make that throw in single coverage on Christian Gray to number 4? Maybe not quite as much if they had gone out there and been conservative, but he'd been like, all right, we've thrown this goal ball a couple of times already in the playoff. So I agree with you. On initial thoughts, it's like, why would they need to run anything else out there besides the same game plan that they've had pretty much the whole season, which is just see if this other team across from us can compete for 4 quarters. But if we're being honest, it's like we got Julian Sand thinks he's the best quarterback in the country. If he is, let's go find out and see if Indiana can cover our 2 guys on the outside.
Yeah, and I like to say too, though, like Julian Sand, he's grew up throughout the season. Like that first game versus Texas, they just kept vanilla, but he was efficient, very efficient, delivering strikes. But like even watching that Michigan game last week, that game started out like the first 5 minutes of the game, I was like, oh shit, like here we go again. Ohio State is doing the same thing, but then after that first 5 minutes, that Marshall went out running back with a stinger. They didn't have no run game, and then Julian Sand started dealing, and they even hit that strike on that post route to Carnell Tate, and I mean the dude was not even 10 yards, within his vicinity. And then Jeremiah Smith, I mean, you got those dudes one-on-one. There's nobody that's going to be able to even.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
With Bryce Underwood, they can't keep protecting that quarterback. He's getting paid $12 million. LSU had him for $6 million. Michigan bought him for $12 million. Come on, dog. You got to make him earn his money. You can't be out there trying to run the ball all game. It ain't working. Y'all got you a couple good runs early in the game, and then the running back got hurt, got injured or whatever. They stopped all that run stuff. You got to throw the ball. He wasn't. You could tell he ain't really done it all year. And when he do kind of get a little crazy with his arm, he turn over the ball. He's not comfortable throwing that ball. You have to make him comfortable. Like Michigan got into the game to where they's like, oh snap, we can't just get in 10 personnel and just run the ball all damn game with 3 tight ends, and we got to throw the ball. They don't know what to do. So it's like you got to be able to throw the ball. I think Julian Sand can throw it, and I think they've been doing a good job by slowly but surely letting them opening up the playbook and letting them get more comfortable. You got 2 of the best athletes out there. Throw the ball somewhat near them. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna make you look good. So I think they'll be all right.
That's really the question, I think, at this stage is there a team that will force Ohio State into a gear that they haven't needed to show the whole season? After that Michigan game, they just came out last year and made a statement. For this stretch run, are they going to be pushed by anybody? Is there a team out there that is going to force them to go down with their best, and they're going to have to come up with it? That's honestly my question right now, because the offense isn't their best part of the football. It's defense. And you've got a historically good, one of the best defenses in the last 50 years that's not giving up 17 points in a game. Urban Meyer talked about that's 3 touchdowns. You don't have to throw the football 40 times to score 3 touchdowns. It's just not turn the football over. Don't put your defense in bad situations. So I'm curious if there is a team out there that can play for 4 quarters. I talked about them not trailing in the second half, not even, being in a tie game. So is there a team out there that you guys think? You mentioned Georgia. That's obviously one that looks like they're playing good down the stretch. But is there another team besides them you guys could see?
Yeah, I think Georgia is the team. Georgia is probably the best program in college football. Like the way Kirby coached them players, how tough they play, how physical they play. Even if you beaten Kirby by 2 touchdowns, even 21 points, if you don't play all 60 of them minutes, you're in trouble because them kids do not quit at all whatsoever. Like the fact I'm so intrigued in this money-driven league where now players is going for the bag, how he still pay these players, but get the players that's really committed to playing football. Like he's still building a program based off tradition, and like these kids is playing hard. I don't know what he's telling them in the before the game in the locker room. What he giving them that's making these dudes play this hard for him year in and year out, every game, no matter if the game is going good or bad. I think Georgia is a tough. Just anybody, whether you a better team than Georgia or not, you still got to beat these boys every game. Because even like last year when Alabama just feel like Georgia had no business being on the field, how you come back and rally all the way in? If it ain't for the miracle play of Ryan Williams, they lose. Yeah, they come back and beat Alabama. So it's like, I don't know. I think Georgia's good. I think on a strong year, Bama could give them the test. Right now, I don't think Bama would give them a test. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, I think give Ohio State a test just because Ohio State will probably be able to score just as well on them because their defense ain't the problem. But Lane know how to keep, for some odd reason, he don't never have a strong defense, but you never see his defense just get just abused. He always stayed within the game. He didn't have no business being in the game with Georgia, but like he can put pressure on your defense and score. Can you keep scoring with him? Can that young freshman quarterback score with them? Can he put up that many? Is he used to putting up that many points? I don't think he ever been pushed. And can I put up 40 with my arm? Not just running and bullying people. Can I really throw this ball across the field and really, really beat teams like that? I think if they had Lane, yeah, but I don't know what Ole Miss gonna look like with just Charlie Wise. I would say right now, Georgia, Notre Dame, and maybe A&M. A&M, yeah, for sure. I think A&M can fix. I think A&M would be their matchup because they both want to get physical. They want to run the ball a lot, and I think they got two athletes on their team. They got the Conception kid and the Carver, the little short, quick slot receiver. They pretty good. They got a solid defense and a good front four up there on defensive line too. So I think that'll be three teams that can kind of see them. Will they see any of them three teams really for real? Depending on how it's messed up, they'll probably see one or two, but you might not see. You might not. They might not get pushed that much. Especially the way it's looking in this bracket right there. I don't think you'll see none of them. I don't think they see any of them teams. I think they'll beat. Now that Oklahoma game, they're gonna beat them, but it's gonna be a low scoring game because Oklahoma got a good defense, but Oklahoma can't score to win. I think they kill Oregon. They're gonna kill Texas Tech. Yeah, they'll run. If that is high as matched up right there, they're gonna run through them like that. So I think it's a couple teams. I remember, but yeah, I'm gonna let you go because I got something to say. Because I remember you said something about if they go 13-0, you got them up there with we got see who they be comparing them to. But I'm gonna let y'all say y'all take on who y'all think or who Jamarcus think can give them a push.
Who will give Ohio State a push?
Like who you think can give them a team? What's the team you think is gonna make them either expose them or make them show? Nah, we got a whole another gear.
I mean, honestly, I'm not even really a fan of Notre Dame, but I would have to say it would have to be Notre Dame or Georgia. But the reason I say Notre Dame because Jeremiah Love is the real deal, you know. And then you know you have some vertical threats like Jordan Faison and you know a couple pieces like that. They let her run quarterback. Power.
They got the Greyhouse kid. We watched. You remember we watched him back in school. So
yeah, Jaden Greyhouse.
Yeah, he killed the Buckeyes too last year in the Natty.
Yeah, so I think Notre Dame will match up pretty well with them just because off their they'll try to give them fits in the run and then you know that quarterback he's become pretty competent you know as the season has went along, but only at a neutral site. If that game was at Ohio State, it wouldn't even be close. But at a neutral site, I think they'll give them their run for the money. But then also I like to say Georgia. You know I wasn't the biggest fan of Connor Stockton. I mean I'm not gonna say Connor Stockton. Gunnar Stockton. But you know they found a way to win in all facets. You know we watched them win in the shootout versus Ole Miss. We watched them win in a dominating fashion versus Texas, where they started out slow and they played them close, and then you know the onside kick, and then you know they went from being down 7 to down 14 or 21 before Arch touched the ball again. And then we see them play a disgusting weird game versus Georgia Tech last week, where Gunnar Stockton didn't even throw for 100 yards. I think he had 70 yards passing the entire game. So I say all
that's dangerous. It's not many teams that can switch up and be that versatile. That's like a boxer. Are you just a straight power puncher, or can you swim and not get wet? It's like different styles. They got every style. Georgia is. That's why I say, man. And this is probably the weakest Georgia team we done seen. But this is crazy that it's like, man, Georgia can really get in. However, what you want to do? You want to shoot out? We ain't even got no team to really have a shootout for real. For real. I really don't know no players on a real threats. They got some good young players, but besides Nate Frazier and Zachariah Branch, they don't really got the best wide receiver group out there. But somehow, some way, they hit them tight ends, they hit a running back on a wheel route, and they'll be in the shootout with you 30-30. Or you want to play time possession, you want to get rough and run through the tackles all the time. Let's do that too. Like it's crazy how they can just play any game. Kirby gonna feel you out. Oh, okay, this is what we on. Let's cool. Let's do it like this. So how you said they can be all three different ways. That's dangerous. That you can't just make a team play because some teams go into a matchup saying, let's make them have to score points. They don't really want to throw the ball. Let's make them run. Like you can't push Georgia into that. Whoever you want to play, Georgia gonna play. We can whatever pace you want to run at. Let's go. We can run that way, and let's see who wins. I think if you don't play, because Georgia gonna take you into deep waters. If you give up a little bit too early in that fourth quarter, they gonna pop you. If you don't play until there's 3 zeros on that clock, Georgia got a good chance to beat anybody. And I don't even think this is a crazy Georgia team.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. This Georgia team, or wouldn't we agree they were better last year? That last year's team would beat this year's team.
Yeah,
the team before that would beat that team, and then the team before that would probably beat that team. Like we go back the last 4 years, each of those Georgia teams have gotten a little bit worse, yet still here we are. Sort of does that speak to like the level and the ceiling of the SEC in a way? Like it's kind of gone from like your top teams like a 96 overall is now like a 95 to like a 94. Like the top teams now probably like a 92 overall type roster, but that's good enough to compete.
And even like I told you, in the offseason, Josh, I was like, what did I tell you? Remember I said this is a down year for Georgia. I said they'll go 8-4 or 9-3. You remember I said that? And I said I just don't see them with Gunnar Stockton and none of that. But, obviously Kirby saw something that nobody else did because, they didn't bring in no transfer quarterbacks. They didn't bring in no crazy names. They brought in more pieces to add with Zachariah Branch. And, he had young dudes like Delp come up the cracks and stuff like that. But
Kobe Young, their best receiver, he got hurt. He out for the year.
Yeah, so I would definitely say Georgia's one of those teams where you just truly don't want to see them because, they showed you how they can win in different facets. They had a shootout. Didn't they play Tennessee?
That was one of the games of the year.
Tennessee.
That's the one thing about Georgia.
That's the game when Tennessee missed the field goal in regulation. See, that's the team that could have been the camel to break the eagle break the camel's back.
And that's the thing with Georgia too. Kirby and Georgia, man, when they get in deep waters, everybody else is like they get tight. Them boys is comfortable in that position. When Kirby is in a position where he know he shouldn't be in, and I know I shouldn't be down in Georgia Tech right now, and I know I shouldn't be going to double overtime with Georgia Tech like they was last year and stuff like this. Like they is very relaxed. Like they tense. Yeah, we know it's on the line, but them boys is as comfortable as it get. I don't know what he do to get some boys like that. That is tough to beat.
And the crazy thing about that Tennessee game is in regulation. To win the game, Tennessee missed a 50-yarder. And in overtime, he makes a 56-yarder. But it was, it wasn't enough because Georgia went down there and scored 2 plays and won the game. So, I don't know. It'd definitely be interesting. We get into closing statements. I know you're the only one, Josh, with a team in. So, I'll open it up to you first. And then, Shep will follow behind with what to expect with your Tigers and new coaches hire. But, what is your thoughts? Where do you think y'all will go this year? In the playoffs, does Ohio State repeat? What do you think from the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to sort of scale up. We've been talking about the Georgia team probably being the best example of someone that could give them the toughest test because no matter what happens on Saturday, they're still in the playoff and will most likely going to have a first-round bye, even if they were to lose. But what I just talked about, the consistent sort of regression of this Georgia team. And then this year, I think that if you were to see that team, whatever round it may be, Ryan Day wants that team. I don't think there's any team that wants Georgia. And a lot of analysts talk about, you don't want to play Georgia. You don't want to. Ryan Day wants Georgia because of what happened a couple of years ago. That's probably the one game of his entire career he wants back the most because you were up 11 points, up 14 points in that game. Fourth quarter, you had him. You had him on the ropes. And how many times have we seen that same Kirby Smart style team take themselves off the mat and win games this year? And so maybe it takes an Ohio State level team that puts together the first 16-0 season to be able to officially kill those Georgia Bulldogs. I just see that being one of the most dangerous attributes of the specific team is that the biggest threat to them most likely right now is Georgia. And as a fan, I want Georgia. I want to beat that team. I hope I see them in the semis, in the national championship, and the players, no doubt, are going to feel that from their head coach. There's a certain sort of quiet confidence that they're going to be feeling here. But my question's for Jalen right now, because I hope that at some point maybe we have to see them open it up. What would Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith have to do to be in consideration to be what Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson were in 2019?
They got the talent for sure. And what you may not know is I'm from there, so I know some of them like coming up in high school. They wasn't 5 stars. Like Cornell Tate and Jeremiah Smith was. They knew who Jeremiah Smith was as a freshman coming in. When Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, them boys was 2 stars, 3 stars. They was trying to make Jamar Chase a DB at Kansas. Les Miles was trying to get him at Kansas. They wasn't even really that sold on him, but LSU they do a lot of in-state recruiting. You know, a couple years under their belt, and then they blow up. You feel me? Like, I guess they keep grinding, they blow up. I don't think they off that far talent wise. Really, it'll just be numbers. Can they put up the numbers like that for? I don't think. I mean, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah got to come back next year. With a Julian saying that could be the year next year to where they get in that conversation. Right now, I don't think so, but I don't think it's fair because Julian saying is a freshman. They had a Joe Burrow, a 5th-year senior at the time, which was a Buckeye boy, and they had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. They was both mature. They was all mature at the same time, so that was good. I think next year be that year for them if they go out there and actually, they still got to play ball. They still got to do it. I think he got the athletes to do it. He got 2 of the best ones to do it. I think Cornell Tate can come back this year. Will he come back? I don't know. But Jeremiah got to come back. So, and Julian to have a year under his belt, especially with a deep run in his playoffs, you for sure should go out there and sling it around next year. And I think they can. It ain't about talent. They got the talent. They got the athleticism. Jeremiah can go make a crazy catch. It's just, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? Can Julian Sand do it? And that was my thing about not too much about pushing Ohio State. I think you can push Ohio State. I want to see somebody push Julian Sand. I don't think nobody ever got rough with him. I don't think nobody ever touched him up. Have he got knocked down? Have he got hit pretty hard? Arch can stand in the pocket and get his head knocked off a couple times, and he's still standing there and take some of them hits. I haven't seen Julian Sand do that yet. Now that's a credit to his O-line. They protecting this boy, which as they should. But when he run up against the Georgia, that's Kirby. That's what Kirby want to do. He want to go get out your quarterback. He want to see what your quarterback made of. Do he really want it? Or do he want it when it's pretty back there? But when I knock his ass off, what he going to do? Is he going to get back up and still stay in the pocket? Or is he going to start feeling that pressure and getting out of there? That's what I want to see them put pressure on Julian Sand. It ain't about the team. He got a team. But Julian Sand is like they protecting him. And I ain't seeing nobody get in the cracks and really get to him yet. And that's what I'd be surprised about. That'll let me know, make a break. I think next year he going to be good regardless. But this year, I want to see somebody put some pressure on him and see what he do after that. Do he fold or not? Do he be like, nah, I'm built for this. I can do this. I practice against this defense every day, so I'm good. I'm built for this. So I think he'll be good. I think Ohio State probably one of the favorites to win it. And but Jeremiah and Tate, they for sure got the talent to do it. They whole deal is, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna go out there and make the plays that Chase and Jets did? They went crazy. They played everybody in the map too. They ran through everybody. It was on tour. That was
the number one defense in the country in Clemson that year. Best defense in the country.
They went through everybody, and that's what I was gonna say. That's what leading into that. You was like, if Ohio State go 13-0, I put like if they go out and win it all, right? You said where you got them ranked at? I'm gonna ask you.
Right now, if they went 16-0.
They go and win it all out. I mean, it's kind of school anyway because, they didn't play that many games. It wasn't the format it is now back then. So, I mean, Ohio State is going to get a game above them or whatever. But where you put them, they go 16-0, win it all. What right now, where you got them at?
All time, I mean, I think that you'd have to look back those early Miami teams and USC and recently, that LSU team, I think this defense is definitely better than LSU and what they were working with that season. Offensively, this offense with Sand is a little bit more limited than, of course, Joe Burrow was. He had a lot more mobility, is a little bit bigger, a little bit tougher than Julian is. But at the end of the day, I've talked to Jamarcus about it. There's 5 future top 15 picks on this roster. You're looking at potentially 20 NFL draft picks on this team. From an unbiased perspective, I'd say easily top 3 all time. I think they would have beaten that Michigan team 2 years ago by 2 scores. That's how confident I am in their answers. I'd say a top 3 team all time. And then you go look back on the NFL careers that they have. There's a potential to say number 1, depending on I'm not going to sit here and say this is the best team we've ever seen. How could I do that when I haven't seen them be tested quite yet? We come back on this show and they have done it. That's a different story. We look back in the matter that they did do it. Burrow threw 6 tubs against the best defense that was available in the country. So I'd say right now, top three. We have a conversation, in 6 weeks, 2 months, and we're then able to reevaluate.
What I'm gonna say is gonna sound biased. I promise you, I'm not no SEC dude. I'm an SEC dude, but I don't. I admit, Ohio State, Cameron. I done even told Jamarcus this. Ohio State. I'm not big on anybody, but Ohio State is the only team that I do respect because just like Clemson, Ohio State and Clemson, I look at them the same. They're the only two teams that I don't think is in a dominant conference like that. But when it come down to play an SEC team, they got their own history of beating these teams. So, and when it counts, when it matters. My only thing is to that is, I know you said defense only giving up 17 points or whatever. Is the defense really getting tested though? That's my only backup. Okay, you say you think the defense is better than Ohio. I mean, do you think this year defense is better than LSU 2019 defense? I don't think so. I think you have a better argument with last year defense, especially with the team, the Jackser or Slayer or the big D lineman y'all had down there. And I think y'all had a better defensive squad last year that I have a better argument. But I think y'all lost DB wise. I like Caleb Downs, but he's no Derek Stingley. I don't think y'all don't really have no cornerback that's a Derek Stingley at all.
No corner for sure.
We had Fulton on the other side of him. That's an all-pro cornerback that's in the NFL right now for the Tennessee Titans. I don't think safety, Caleb Downs, Grant Delpit. I mean, they both coming down there in Atlanta. Boom. I don't know. It's a toss-up between them. I like the Styles, dude. I think that's y'all linebacker. You taking him over Patrick Queen? I don't know. I think I'm taking Patrick Queen at linebacker. And we had Clavion Chase on too. So we was pretty deep at linebacker, and we had some boys on the defensive line. So I don't know. I don't know. Derek Stingley is top two, and I don't think he two in the NFL right now when it comes to quarterback. It's him or Pat Surtain. Mm-hmm. And he been doing this since a young boy, since he came in. So I don't think y'all got nobody on that back end that's as stout as Derek Stingley. I think as a whole, as a unit together, for sure y'all got a team. But if I can just take one player who's like a real stud standout, I think Caleb Downs is the only person I can really say. Like him and Styles, yeah. But you take his two, and I take my best two on LSU. I think it kind of outweigh each other. But my only pushback would be that is like, yeah, y'all only giving up 17 points, but are y'all playing somebody that can really even on their best day give y'all?
That's all we gotta wait and see.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the thing. Yeah. Y'all will play that team. Y'all will see that team in the playoffs 1 or 2 times. But if you go look at that LSU roster, we had to go see teams that can do this to us. That
2019 Bama LSU game, that game probably had
the most NFL talent on the. Yeah. You can probably say that Alabama team was better than on roster wise. Probably had more talent than LSU.
Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy,
Smith, Messi. They had I don't know what running back. Najee Harris at the running back. They didn't have Mac Jones. They had Tua. They had Tua on the defense. They got Will Anderson. They had Pat Surtain. They got Trayvon Diggs. They was loaded, dog. they was loaded.
Pat Surtain.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. And then Clemson is different. Clemson had Terrell Simmons, I want to say that's his name, or Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah.
Yeah, they had them. They had the Watkins dude, I want to say, that played on the D line or whatever. They was cold. Quentin Williams.
They had Dexter. What's the name? Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, they was hard on the offensive side. Trevor Etienne. What's the boy that played with Chase right now? I forgot.
Well, I will say too,
Higgins.
Ohio State is good and their defense is phenomenal. But I think too, it's just they're young as hell. They don't have a lot of stars yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I said right now I don't think it's fair because I gotta see them. I gotta see them mature.
Right now, you don't really know who's to say 2-3 years from now you might see one of the videos like, Styles was on this team in XYZ, and then you like, oh shit. Once they grow their name and they're starting them right now, like you said, I don't think it's fair because they're so young and they all ain't got a lot of notoriety and attention.
And this might sound crazy, but honestly, I thought we was going to see Ohio State that year in the championship. That's the only team on the map that we ain't see that year. We ran through everybody else in the country. Any team you think was good or thought was good, we played them that year. Ohio State was the only team we ain't played. That's because y'all ain't get over the hump with Clemson. I think that Ohio State team right there was y'all best team y'all ever
We
had.
should have beat y'all. We should have beat y'all that year.
Hey, we ain't gonna we not even gonna entertain that.
Yeah.
But
Fields,
I
Yeah,
think
we had y'all to a
that
third
Justin
and
Fields team right there y'all had, y'all was loaded. I don't think y'all wide receiver room is like what it was like that.
No,
Even with
they
Tate,
didn't have. No, you can't compare Wilson and Olave to what they got on this current roster.
Texas ain't have LSU on the ropes during that game.
I don't know what make you say that. Texas played. It was a good game,
It
but
was
we pulled off.
It was a
But
hell of a game. But
if you, yeah, I get what you want to say. Like, yeah, we just played them good, but bro,
really, it was a dagger. It was like 3rd and 13, and Justin Jefferson ran that drag and Chris.
Yeah, we like, hold on, let's quiet DKR down a little bit. They feeling themselves. Let's go ahead and get this.
That was a good game, but
calm down. Like, it's cool. Louisiana Texas border rivalry is cool. Like, I get it, but I can't say y'all took us down there because I look at Florida and we beat Florida by 3. We beat Bama by like what 7 or 6 points. We beat Florida by like 5 or 6 points. Like, it was a couple of games that other teams that took us down to the wire for sure. Clemson jumped on us early in the championship game. We was down, I want to say 13 to them. So it was a couple of games that really got ugly, but they just battled the storm. They weathered the storm. We
ended up firing our coach like a year later.
Yeah, it was a lot of good squads.
That was pre-Sark days. That was when we had Tom Herman.
Yeah, so
I thought Tom Herman was going to be the man to get us there. I mean, he had Bijan Robinson there.
So that's the thing. That defense had to stand up against that Alabama team, that Clemson team, that Florida team. Like they had to see Georgia. We caught Georgia when Kirby was still there, but he was still trying to find his footing over there. But they had to play against people, and that's the thing. It might not look like our defense was that dominant, but they was going against other dogs. Like them the people they were going against can easily score on them. And it gets to a certain point to where you ain't finna just lock everybody down. You're gonna play a team to where they can have a way with your defense too, because they just got the same amount of good players on the other side. So that's the only thing I say about Ohio State. Are they seeing a challenge like that every week? You feel me? To say, oh no, that defense really is legit for sure. Like that's legit. But
there's one thing I will say too, though. I mean, even in the playoffs, I mean, you played ETN and T-Law. You played Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma.
Oh, I forgot about Oklahoma. That's CD Lamb and Hollywood out there at receiver.
And Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts back there. Yeah, they didn't have a defense like that, but that's a high-powered offense. They was loaded out there. So, and I forgot they had the big running back. He was big time too, but he didn't go to the NFL and do nothing crazy. I think he was on the Eagles roster at one point, practice squad. I forget the running back name, but Brooks, I want to say is his last name or something like that. But they had a good squad. So I don't know. It's a lot of good teams. Maybe if we see this team mature next year, I don't think they'll bring everybody back on defense. So that'll probably take a little hit. But
and you gotta remember that year too. That was they played Georgia too with a young George Pickens.
They played
and James Cook. Yeah, James.
Yeah, I forgot about James Cook. So yeah.
So
I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I'm an LSU fan. I don't know if anybody gonna have a better resume than that. The teams they played, because it's not like. First of all, LSU came in ranked 8 or 9 at the time and came up and took over 1. So they didn't go and just beat a bunch of teams that was just low and they was loaded. They beat a bunch of good teams that was just as good as them. Could have beat them. A couple teams took them down to the wire. So to be able to hold up every week like that and still make it through the playoffs, and that was a little bit of talent, God, luck. It was a little bit of everything because you ain't take no major injuries all year. It was a lot of stuff had to play right for that to happen. So
because when you really look at that year, you'd be like, God damn. I mean, it was a gauntlet. I mean, even when it went against Kyle Pitts and Van Jefferson, and then was it Moore that played at Ole Miss? Elijah Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that team.
That was Elijah Moore, Matt Corral days at Ole Miss. Yeah, they was tough. So
all those teams were like start. That was actually a crazy year. And Arkansas, they had Traylon Burks and Van Jefferson to the world.
Yeah, so yeah, it was. I don't know, man. That That was a hell of a year. That was a crazy year. So I think that's one of them. That was meant to be in history type shit. That's just
Oh
one
yeah,
of
and
them
I'm even looking
moments.
it up right now. That was a Bo Nix Auburn team that was our closest game. Auburn 23-20.
Oh, Nick's back that
Yeah,
far?
Yeah.
that was a Bo Nix Auburn team.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Yeah, I don't think no, I don't think nobody be. I ain't even saying this. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think nobody making a better resume than that. I don't. You
Yeah,
gotta, because the way the schedule is set up, nobody's ever gonna see them teams like that in a one season. They not.
no,
They just not gonna see that. So that's what one thing. Everybody that's on that LSU team gonna be able to say is they gonna be like, look at who they played and look who we had to play. They gonna win off that alone. So.
Yep. No, this is a year where that's the goal, is to be the first 16-0 team ever. But I agree with you. I don't think they have enough on the schedule and watching even who they might play in the CFP, whether at Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton's not going to be a Jalen Hurts, a Tua Tagovailoa, Joe. That's just not him. He's not going to be that guy. Fernando Mendoza, probably not, but who knows where he goes at the pro level. But Morton, Trinidad Chambliss, we're not looking at anybody at the quarterback position. That's probably going to be Julian Sain when it's all said and done, is that quarterback that's probably rising to the top. I hope one of these guys materializes and is able to give them a test. Otherwise, it's just straight blowouts, and it takes a little bit of the credit away.
For sure.
So we'll see how it shakes out. I have such respect for the game that, and especially that 2019 team. You're looking at the best two wide receivers in the league right now. I still put Jettis and Jamar over a guy like JSN. I still think JSN needs to do it one more year before I'd put him in that top two conversation.
Oh, JSN is showing out in that league now. I think at first I wasn't too high on him because that's my whole thing. When everybody say who's wide receiver you, who's DBU, who's all this, I say what did they do in college and what are they doing in the league?
Pro.
That's why I feel like LSU beat everybody at. LSU players pans out in the league. They don't just show out in college and then you don't hear about them in the league. They show out in the league. They are, if not number one or two, they top in every position in the league. That's what they do. And that's what JSN wasn't showing me at first, but he is shutting me up right now. He is doing his thing. Chris Olave is disappointing a little bit, and I'm a Saints fan. I want to see him probably in a better system to where he getting better looks. But based off what he did in college, I would think he'll show out. He'll be like on some type of JSN. Now, to his credit, I'm a Saints fan, and I don't think he's in the best position to even show his best, like what he needs to be doing anyway. I would like to see him with a Matthew Stafford or somebody that's gonna really throw him the ball, give him chances. Yeah. I like to see what he can do for real. But yeah, man. Sooner or later, them Tigers gonna be in there. They give your Ohio State Buckeyes a run, man. We've been slacking right now, but we got to get back in there. We got Lane. I thought he was the best coach out there. You kind of need a good coach like that to bring in and bring the morale back because it's been down. Brian Kelly, he wasn't as bad as everybody made it seem. I don't like Brian Kelly at all, but his first 2 years there, he came and won 10 games, took us to the SEC championship, came up short. I think he had championship teams. He just ain't have the defense at the time to win it. Like he just ain't have it all together at one point. And I thought this year right here, it was the year for us to win it all. And it just went down bad. We started off with Garrett with having an injury, and we don't know if he really hurt or not. They trying to lie about it. Now he having surgery right now. So if he having surgery right now, I know he was really hurt this whole time. So it was a bunch of stuff. But this year was disappointing. No way you should be 7-5 with the roster they have right now. Like I wish Lane could get this team right here and run it back all again. Like if Lane had this team right here, I don't think there's nobody on this on in college football. It'd be another tier like a 2019 team again. The weapons, the speed he have 4 wide receivers right now that's all running 4.2s, man. And they ain't got nothing to show for it at all. Like it's disappointing. It's disappointing. It's crazy. The defense, I'm happy the defense even standing up and playing their hearts out even when they don't have nothing to win, just playing off their pride. That go to show if they playing this hard with nothing to win. Imagine if they had something, they was still winning. Imagine how much morale that defense will have right now. Like They brung it back, but Brian Kelly just lost the culture. He came in, he wasn't recruiting in state a lot. He was letting our best talent go to all these other schools, and now you see the best players on these other teams are from Louisiana. This is homegrown talent that you just letting leave the state. They coming and digging, taking all your, taking everything, taking all your cookies, and you just looking out here sad. So we soft as ever. We can't run the ball. I don't know if you know much about LSU. That's what we used to do. We just coming into this air raid type of system on offense. We are known to get in the power eye and run the ball and have a good defense and stop you from scoring. That's the Nick Saban and Les Miles days. When they got the Coach O, that's when we started throwing the ball and getting all happy with this air game.
Man, I will say, boy, LSU was a hard team to watch 2011, 2010.
Winning games 6-3.
Yeah, with the Zach Mettenbergers of the world.
We'll have the most talent everywhere else, and you'll be like, do y'all just not go look for a quarterback? Do y'all don't want nobody at quarterback? As long as the quarterback got 2 arms and 2 legs, he can play at LSU because all he gonna do is hand that ball off. That's it. He gonna hand that ball off. He gonna chew the clock, and we're gonna throw a defense out there, and it's gonna be hard for you to score on them. And I don't know how they was winning in like that, but right now that ain't gonna win you games. You gotta be able to score. I think they transitioned into that well, but I think they're gonna rebuild. I think first year they're.
I was just gonna ask you. Yeah, closing statements. How much time do you think they give Lane before the pressure is on, and how much time do you think Lane needs to become, that blue blood again, and that national power as to what they hired him for?
In 5 years, I think Lane will have a natty. I really think year 4 would be the year he win it. Year 1. He got to get his system. He got to get his system integrated. He got to get his culture built. He got to undo what everything Brian Kelly did. He got to take all that away and start from ground zero, starting with strength and conditioning coach. That's probably the most important coach besides the head coach because they with the players every day, and that's where you getting your grit from. That's where LSU was never no soft team. We getting bullied on the offensive line and D-line. We can't run the ball. That ain't never been us. A team that's known to run the ball, and now we can't run the ball with 2 of the best backs in the country that nobody really know about because we ain't been able to showcase them. That's embarrassing. So it started in the weight room. Get that grit back. Get that swagger back. We dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Get that back going. Get this offense going. Get us some quarterbacks. I think that'll take a year, depending on how well he get into this portal. I don't know if he going crazy in the portal. I don't really want him to go that crazy in the portal because I think that mess up your culture. I think right now that's LSU problem. They don't got no culture right now. They need to get that going. And you bring all these people in the portal, you watering down your bloodline right now. So let him recruit the high school levels, keep certain people on the staff. And I think year 1, we'll see what he do year 1. I think year 1 is like win 9 games at least. Win 8 or 9 games, cool. Year 2, year 3, we're in the playoffs. Year 4, he got the team to go win it all. I think year 4, mark my words, he's going to win the national championship. Year 5, if he haven't won the national championship, he might be gone. That's how I'm gonna say it's a hot seat when you sit in LSU right there. It's proven that you can win there. 3 different coaches have won there. You got to go do it. You got to go do it, Lane. This is what you say you want. You want the pressure. You on the big stage. You have no excuse now. You have no excuse. You're a good recruiter. You got the money behind you. Go get the players. And it's just showing what you can do. You got to show out now. What scared me about Lane is he had the best team he probably ever had last year and didn't get over the hump. That's the only thing that scared me is like, damn. And you got this team that ain't nowhere near as talented as last year, and you 11-1. So I don't know. That's what scared me, but then that's what make me happy is like, damn. Even if we don't get the best recruiting class, he can still make do with some good players or whatever. So he don't need all the 5 stars. So it's a good and bad thing. The only thing I give him on a pass with that 9-3 team he had last year is that he don't have that team every year. I think if Lane get a team like he had last year on a year-in basis, I think he probably already have one. I think he's at a program now to where he can get that on a year-in basis. And now you got to win. You have no excuse now. You can't say, well, I'm at Ole Miss and we can't get the best player. You got you landed in not even 1 minute. You got the number 1 player in the nation.
The crazy thing is last year in that 9-3 season, I mean, what? You lose off a field goal to Kentucky, and you lose with versus Florida when Jackson Dart threw like 8 picks. I mean, they threw a pick, got the ball back, threw another pick, got another fumble or something like that. they just gave that game away.
Had
So
a better squad than us, and we beat them last year in overtime. So
yeah,
I don't know, man.
And then that game, the Kyron Lacey overtime winner.
So,
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. You know, LSU. I get why Lane went. Saban told him, man, you can turn this into a power if you want to be.
He made
like
the right decision.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to be like me and you want to find a long-term home and be dominant, why don't you just go to Louisiana? You ain't got to worry about the resources because we got you covered with the money. You ain't got to worry about the money because we're going to pay you. And then on top of that, recruiting. The recruiting is 10 times easier. Now you don't have to live in the portal as you once did. So they give Lane, I say it'll probably take 2 recruiting classes to really get in and phase in. I say by year 3 or 4, he should really, you know, have that dominant team. Like next year, he's good enough to still probably go 10-2 next year.
if he come in, and that's the thing. If you win one time, Lane, especially if you win early, you safe. The only thing is, if he haven't won by year 4 or year 5, he at least have to sniff the semis or at least make it to the big game or something. But he has no excuse right now. I think year 1 it's easy. You do what you got to do because you got to recruit. You got to get everything how you want it. You got to get in right now. Blake Baker, our defensive coordinator, I think he's gonna get the Tulane. I think it's not if Tulane gonna give it to him. Tulane gave it to him. It's if he wanted. Right now, the pitch from LSU is you stick with us one more year, you can go from here straight to another Power 4, or you can go to P5 and you got to bank on having a good. You got to go to G5 and bank on having a good year, and then you can go up there. So I don't know. I know Blake kind of want to do his own thing, and I mean, as a head coach, they always say, never tell your assistant coaches to overlook a head coach job. But it's like the pitch right now is for us to have a good, at least rebound year next year. Is we need Blake there. I don't know what we look like if we have to go find another DC. Then these players is connected to these DC. So if Blake leave, we might lose some of our DBs, or that like some of the parts that we got, we might start losing staff that's on the people that's already on the team and commits. So that can cause a whole nother issue right now. So I don't know what they're gonna do, how that's gonna work out. That could play a whole nother factor and everything. So I think year 1 it could get a little rough. Even if they let go Blake go take the head coach job at Tulane, he played at Tulane, so I think he's gonna probably end up taking it. I don't know. I think that could lead up to year 1 and year 2 kind of not being the best, but year 3, year 4, I think everything should be straight for him. He should be good. He should be well acquainted. And he should have everything how he wanted. He should be year 4. I think he's gonna win it all. But if not that, year 5 he got to. If not, it's in Lane. I don't think you ain't. Hey, you ain't what you say you are. And I think right now, out of all this going on, I think he probably the most eager to coach right now because he know a lot of people like he got to prove himself right. I think that's what's on his mind. It's like a lot of people know like, oh, you left this 11-1 team, blah blah. I think he know like, yeah, I gotta win. I think the pressure is on him. I think he done already put the pressure on him before we even done put the pressure on. I think he knew on the plane to Louisiana, I gotta win and I gotta win fast because I'm gonna hear it. I'm gonna hear it. Yeah. Even if I make a good year, I'm gonna hear it if I don't come out because you left. You want to compete for national championships. You ain't won one. They gonna be on them pretty bad. So the pressure is on. So I mean, hey, we're gonna see what I think he built for it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all boys hopping on, man. Josh, good luck to them Buckeyes, over the weekend, Saturday, and I can't wait to get back on here and talk some more shop and, just kind of navigate the digital airways with all the college football. We could be here for 8 more hours.
Do the recap. We gotta do the recap of the championship games. After all they've been played out, we gotta do the recap of all of them.
Predict once the bracket's laid out, we gotta go through our natty predictions across the board or predict the games as they go. Break it all down.
Yeah, we'll break it all down, and then we can make it fun too, and do a bracket challenge amongst us, and just kind of break down the matchups more in depth, instead of being sort of in this unknown and predicting what'll be what. So I'd be curious. I know everybody who are the G5 schools, they're rooting for Duke because Duke takes care of business. You eliminate the ACC. And then you get the Sun Belt Conference and the American Conference in there with 2 G5s. So this weekend is definitely gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. And Duke, Arizona. Not Duke, Virginia. Duke lost by 14 early in the season. They played everybody tough. They played Georgia Tech down, to the wire most of the game, and then they just have enough. But Manny Diaz, man, he don't, I know he's gonna try to play spoiler. So, I'll be definitely interested in tuning on this one because it's gonna be funny as hell if the ACC gets an 8-5 winner. Which, with the way the season went, I think it'll be definitely fitting for that conference to get an 8-5 conference champion winner.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So, all right, fellas, it's your boy J Mark. I'm out. My boy Josh, my boy
Peace,
Jay.
man.
We'll
Good
be back.
chopping it up with y'all, boys.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Later.
take care.
All right.
Yeah.